seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and gonna create the most viral knockout ever. We're sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
Some
I know
8-year-olds. I got the 8-year-olds in there.
If I find out anything, I'm gonna beat your ass, and I'm gonna beat Jaden on Love. On my mama, I'm gonna beat both y'all ass.
For them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
Gervonta Tank Davis has erupted after Jake Paul boldly claimed he would knock him out in just 3 rounds of taunt that turned up the heat in an already volatile buildup. Critics argue that this fight puts Davis' reputation on the line since it is rare for a fighter of his caliber to risk everything against someone viewed as an outsider to professional boxing. A loss would raise real questions about his legacy, but if Davis can overcome the size, power, and hype surrounding Jake Paul, the victory could become one of the most defining moments of his career, a night that cements how the world remembers him.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Aldrey, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned?
Jake Paul, on the other hand, has made it personal. He has declared that he will deliver the knockout of the year when he faces Gervonta Davis. For Paul, this is not just another payday, it is a statement. He is chasing validation, headlines, and a place. In boxing history, that cannot be ignored. By promising a highlight reel knockout, Paul is betting on spectacle as much as on power. In his view, this fight is about legacy through impact, not just the scorecards.
Fighters, because this thing is going to be watched by hundreds of millions globally. Jake, give the people one thing that you can guarantee that they're going to get on November 14th when they tune in to Netflix.
Yeah, you're going to see the 2 biggest fighters in America go head-to-head with an amazing card, world championship fights back-to-back-to-back, and that's just how the MVP way we do it, and I'm going to come for a knockout of the year again. I've seen it in my visions. I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and going to create the most viral knockout ever.
Rolly Romero has stepped into the conversation, arguing that even if Jake Paul shocks the world and knocks out Davis Tank's legacy would remain untarnished. He reminds critics that Davis is a 3-division world champion, a proven elite fighter, who has earned global respect. In interviews and social media clips, Romero insists that one loss, even a dramatic one, cannot erase years of dominance belts and mastery across multiple weight classes.
You can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all that stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
Romero take on the Davis-Paul showdown is grounded and realistic. He believes Tank's career speaks for itself. The titles, the knockouts, the longevity. Davis does not need to fight. Jake Paul to prove his worth. Still, Romero does not completely dismiss. The challenge, he admits, Jake's size and reach, give him a legitimate physical edge. Yet those factors alone cannot overshadow what Davis has built: a decade of skill, grit, and championship experience.
For him, but like Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, like, or as an exhibition, we don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, like, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were, like, to beat him or even, like, knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
When UFC legend Daniel Cormier learned that Gervonta Davis had accepted a fight with Jake Paul, he was visibly stunned. In a recent clip, Cormier called the matchup ridiculous, labeling it a mismatch. He questioned why a world-class pro like Davis would even consider stepping into the ring with a YouTuber turned boxer. Cormier expressed concern that the size and power gap could make the fight more spectacle than sport, and that such an event could risk the integrity of Tank's career.
I swear to God, I was on a plane coming home from Las Vegas when Luis told me Gervonta Davis is fighting Jake Paul. I said, get the bleep out of here. I said, you're a bleep liar. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. Gervonta Davis is that much better than Jake Paul at boxing. But Gervonta Davis in his last fight weighed 133.8 pounds. And I'm not over here in the business of just crapping on Jake Paul. I am much more respectful of what he's starting to build as a professional boxer. You're fighting a guy that's better than you. He's just much smaller. But that guy, because he's better than you, what if he wins? Everything Jake Paul has done is wiped completely out. Gervonta Davis loses to Jake Paul. Obviously, it's going to hurt who Gervonta Davis is. But he lost to a guy that's going to be upwards of 70 pounds bigger than him when he steps into the boxing ring. But I will tell you this right now, without a shadow of a doubt, I will watch this. Tank Davis is 30-0-1. You want to talk about Jake Paul fighting a real boxer? That's a real boxer. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's true. They're fighting.
KSI also weighed in, criticizing how hype and entertainment have begun to overshadow pure competition in boxing. In a recent video, he accused Jake Paul of turning influencer boxing into a circus, suggesting that Paul's promotional style bends narratives to attract attention rather than honor athletic merit. For KSI, these fights blur the line between sportsmanship and show business.
AJ and Jake was never going to happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually going to happen? Bro, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything online.
But that's pretty unbelievable on the other hand.
I feel like I know, well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White. I had a lot of people bet on White winning. And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, 1-1. Like, I just knew Itoma was gonna just destroy him. And I think a good fight for Itoma would be him and Wilder.
Veteran journalist Gareth A. Davies echoed similar concerns, describing the Davis versus Paul fight as another example of boxing sacrificing authenticity for attention. He emphasized the unfair weight gap and exhibition-style nature of the event, warning that while it may draw mainstream eyeballs and record-breaking revenue, it risks corroding the credibility of boxing itself.
Signs. I think we've gone out of the frying pan and into the fire because we thought we were going to get Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua very soon. We'll speak to Frank Smith about that in the next section, obviously. Eddie Hearn was teasing it to me personally last week. £80 million on the table for Anthony Joshua to fight Jake Paul. But 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound-for-pound, brilliant, unbeaten little un. And the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that... do I mean Charlie Brooker? No, Baker. Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook. It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout. But everybody in boxing who is a name doesn't mind going in with Jake Paul because they know they're making millions of dollars. And that's the only reason that Gervonta Davis, who's being called the poison little elf by Jake Paul, it'll be fun in the build-up. Everybody in boxing knows they're guaranteed to make millions of those silverbacks. Those greenback notes that they give out in America, and they give them out for fun when Jake Paul fights. So he's not going to say no to it. But can you pick a winner in that fight?
Davey sees it as a trade fame for fairness. Even Davis has admitted there are aspects of the fight that genuinely worry him. He has repeatedly spoken about Jake Paul, Power acknowledging that he wants to feel just how hard Paul can punch Tank. Also mentioned the reach size and unorthodox rhythm. Paul brings to the ring challenges he has never faced before. Yet Davis insists that come November 14th, he will adapt, adjust, and rise to the moment. Supporters of the fight argue that this crossover is not a sellout. It is evolution. Jake. Paul has drawn a new younger audience into boxing fans raised on YouTube and social media, not HBO or Showtime. Meanwhile, Davis embodies raw authenticity and defiance traits that resonate deeply with a generation craving something real.
4 years in the making, when a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix.
Does Jake Paul have that concerns you?
What concern me, his power. Gotta test his power. Gotta test his, just everything. To be honest, I never been in the ring with Jake, so I could say a lot. But when it comes down to November 14th, you know, I gotta be in there with him. I gotta be able to, you know, his arm reach, his size, his power, you know, the way he moving and things like that. I just gotta adapt, you know, as I fight him.
Nikisa Badarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, has brushed off the criticism about Jake Paul's size advantage, insisting it will not decide the fight. She argues that Paul only demanded a heavier catch weight because of his limited professional experience. Badarian also revealed that this fight was not a spontaneous stunt. It has been years in the making. After a planned Canelo Alvarez bout collapsed, the door opened for Davis, who had reportedly been pushing for this matchup for some time.
Bro, Jake and Tank are going to happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, it's going to be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition, We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's gonna be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight, and people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing, and has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. Now you get to see if that's real. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Badarian acknowledges the obvious. Jake Paul is taller, heavier, and has longer reach. But she says Davis' skill and experience make up the difference. Tank has spent over a decade building a near-flawless record, collecting world titles and knocking out elite opponents. He is adaptable, explosive, and technically sharp. Critics who accuse Davis of chasing money instead of challenges are missing the bigger picture. His resume already speaks for itself. He has faced elite competition, dominated his divisions, and built a legacy most fighters only dream of.
You wouldn't go ever fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay, he was some trash, he was some trash, he ain't did nothing. Hey, that's just what it's gonna be at the end of the day.
Davis supporters argue that a single flashy fight does not erase years of greatness. He has earned his place through discipline, highlight knockouts, and championship runs. In today's boxing world, where promotion and storytelling often matter as much as performance, there is more than one way to pursue greatness. Jake Paul, meanwhile, sees himself as rewriting the rules. He is not chasing belts, he is chasing impact. He has already broken viewership records, headlined massive pay-per-view events, and merged social media with professional boxing in ways never seen before. He has defeated names like Anderson Silva and even faced Mike Tyson in a sanctioned bout. Spectacles that love or hate them changed the game. When offered an honorary WBA belt, Paul turned it down, saying he wants to earn his recognition, not have it handed.
They'll never give me credit until I have the world championship belt, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But belts collect dust, and what I've done in the sport is unprecedented. Never will be replicated, and done it in such a short amount of time, just getting warmed up. They're not going to give me credit, but I don't need the credit from these bozos, to be honest. The credit's in my bank account.
And now, Jake Paul is already looking beyond Gervonta Davis. He has publicly called out Anthony Joshua, a move that shook the boxing community. Many dismissed it as delusion, others saw it as raw ambition. Joshua, a former heavyweight champion with elite pedigree and massive physical advantages, seems far beyond Paul's reach. Still, this kind of boldness is precisely what defines Jake Paul. Journey always chasing the impossible, always raising the stakes, and always finding a way to keep the world watching.
Anyone, anytime, any place, against all odds. And I like my odds. First, I'm gonna kill David. Then I will go on to slaughter Goliath. Okay, so you have to think that the last one, first I'm going to kill David, referring to Gervonta Davis, and then he's going to go on and slay Goliath, referring to Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
And he's going to go and fight a 140er and then move up 135er, and then move up and fight a heavyweight.
So the lowest he's been, I went through all the fights. For his first two fights, his first two pro fights, he was 175. Now this is all the way back in 2020 against Nate Robinson. Since then, the lowest he's been, as you said, was like the 185 around the Nate Diaz fight, and also for Tommy Fury. I wonder if Jake can get down to that weight anymore. But regardless of Jake's weight, I can't fathom how Tank Davis would be anywhere in the realm of what he would be. Like, it just, he won't even be in earshot of what Jake Paul is going to be.
That's for today. Video subscribe for more.